Recently, a wonderful TCG-focused website, Pokébeach, has released some speculation about the release date for Pokémon Legends Z-A, judging by the release date of upcoming TCG sets. This happened last week and I didn't really talk about it because it would simply be saying exactly what they have said. Now though, after looking into it a little bit further, I think there might be something more there. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, and what about bonds? Let's get into it. Like I said, Pokébeach looked at the current expected release dates for Pokémon sets and, judging by the past, assumed that Pokémon Legends Z-A would likely release in the second half of the year, at least after April. This is because, with the exception of Pokémon Legends Arceus, which released after the first Arceus-related set, Starbirth, every first Pokémon TCG set related to a new game releases after the game is out. This is usual, like you liking and subscribing, I'm sure, and it's the same as in the anime. Things related to the new games, the new region, the new characters only start appearing there after everything is released. For example, Stellar Crown, the set that introduces Terrapagos, only releases here in September, and its Japanese counterpart only released last month in Japan. So the article assumes that the early sets in the year won't be related to Legends Z-A, as they will be partner sets. They will bring back, for example, En's X Pokémon or Marnie's X Pokémon. This is coming in January in Japan, and the only following set would release in March, and it is likely going to be related to Team Rocket, because it is called The Glory of Team Rocket, which is an awesome name, by the way. So the article states that since these characters and the quote-unquote owner's mechanic are not related to Kalos, it is likely that they're stalling until Legends Z-A is out later in the year. Mega Evolution is not new to the TCG, and it will very likely come back as the big mechanic for after the current Terra EX thing is done. So that all makes sense, and it is very likely the way things are gonna go, but they do not have one thing. They do not have the power of the hat. But I do. What is an owner's mechanic if not a bond mechanic? And yeah, sure, they're coming before the release of Legends Z-A, but even the article admits that they might continue way after that. And bonds, we've heard of those before, haven't we? While not exactly a focal point when discussing the mechanic, bonds are indeed a key part of Mega Evolution. One needs, for the most part, a strong bond with one's Pokémon in order to Mega Evolve it. This became even more apparent when Ash-Greninja was created. There was no Mega Evolution for Kalosian Pokémon, sadly, and Ash kinda needed to have a Kalosian ace. It wouldn't be the same if he simply used his old Pokémon or they simply gave him a Lucario like they did in Journeys. There needs to be marketing for current Pokémon, and Greninja quickly became a fan favorite. This bond mechanic was so impressive and so loved by the community that Ash-Greninja went from anime canon to game canon by being released in the demo for Pokémon Sun and Pokémon Moon. Sadly, it never came back again, but it is always talked about in every new game cycle, especially when Mega Evolution is still kind of a possibility for that year's new game. Owner's Pokémon, while they could indeed be and likely are stalling until Z-A is released so they have more content, could easily then get connected to Mega Evolution with a slight change to how the mechanic worked on previous years in the TCG. In the games, that could be tied to how Mega Evolution will work as well. We know that while Mega Evolution was discovered a long time ago both in Kalos and Hoenn, it didn't instantly become how we know it. Technology was developed through the years in order to make it easy to achieve for anyone. Back in the day, it likely was different. It is very possible that the bond between a trainer and a Pokémon is the most important part of the whole thing, and I could see Z-A focusing on this specific part in order for you to be able to Mega Evolve one of your Pokémon. After all, the redevelopment itself might be showing a bit of a disconnection between humans and Pokémon, and a bond would be the way to fix the whole thing. You'd have to maybe complete some tasks or maybe simply use it in battle, kind of like the friendship mechanic but in order to Mega Evolve, in order to create a bond with your Pokémon. But there's another thing that makes me think that this has been hinted at already. We never really have to go there in the game, but if you enter Nemona's house in Cabo Poco, yes, some buildings you are allowed to go in, you find a painting named the Hidden Ninja, and it clearly depicts the one and only Ash-Greninja. At this point, with the announcement of Z-A, we could all look back and say that it was a hint at that, but at the time everyone had quote-unquote Kalos DLC in mind. Still, if it really was a hint at simply Kalos or Z-A, why not have a Greninja, just a regular one, especially since they kinda gutted the Battle Bond ability in Gen 9. They knew what people would speculate about if they saw that. It's one of their most popular Pokemon from one of their most popular and well-reviewed series ever. They knew people would be begging to see it back, they would hope for that. And so, if it returns, will we have more Battle Bond Pokemon in Z2A? Well, I don't think so. I think that since Hoopa is very likely in the game, there is a possibility that Hoopa Ring shenanigans can bring Ash-Greninja into that world, which would be pretty awesome, let's be honest. But the thing about Ash-Greninja is how its appearance changed to match Ash's appearance. That was the visible form change. In games like Pokémon though, where there has been a lot of customization of your character as of late, it would be very hard to create the same thing and make it work for every different avatar. They could do it for other major characters as they're kinda static, but not us, and locking something like that only to NPCs would be sure to create a bit of an angry mob online. So, if they do make Battle Bond Greninja returning Pokemon in Z2A, I think it will remain the only Battle Bonded Pokemon with a form change in the games. With abilities not being a part of Legends, at least judging by Legends Arceus, the Gen 9 change wouldn't really have an effect on how the whole thing works, and it could simply be a special treat and a one-off catch, kinda like Blood Moon or Saluna in Scarlet and Violet. In the end, I do have to agree with the article when it comes to the actual time frame in which they will release Pokémon Legends Z2A. I believe it would be in the beginning of the year, but their speculation makes sense. They have their evidence that the TCG sets do point for it being released later in the year. Despite this, I believe that Owner's Pokémon, something that aims to showcase the bonds between trainer and Pokémon, might not end up being as unrelated to Kalos and Legends Z2A as they state, since a bond is really important for Mega Evolution, like I said. And while I don't see a new bond phenomenon happening and joining Ash's Greninja, which might return through Hoopa stuff, the TCG sets, the painting in the Mona's house, and the overall history of Mega Evolution make me think that maybe we might end up seeing something that uses this concept of bonding with our Pokemon in a way that makes the whole thing a lot more relevant than we think. It might simply not be in a visible way. And that is all I have for you today. I think bonds will return, just not in the way we think. But what about you? Would you love to see Ash's Greninja return in Z2A? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can also become a channel member or check out my merch in order to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.